So hello and welcome everyone. In today's lecture, we are going to cover all the important data structures. First, we will cover arrays, then linked list, stacks, queues, binary trees, binary search trees, heaps, hashing, graphs, and matrices. These are all the topics that we are going to cover today. Let us start with array. As we have discussed, array is a continuous memory allocation in which we allot memory with a given size. For example, we want to store 10 datas. In array, we can access any of the element in order of one time. So for example, if you want to reach here, then initially our head pointer will be pointing to here and we will make 5 jumps, then it will point here and we can easily extract it. It will take order of one time. So demerits of array are, we have to give the size of the array. Secondly, it is a continuous memory allocation. So whenever we do not have the memory available for the exact size, we will crash. It won't be able to create this data structure. So arrays won't be able to be created if you don't have that much memory that is going to be required. Say for example, we need 10 places. So we won't be even able to store one if we are following the arrays because we won't be able to create this memory. Now, the next topic is going to be linked list. Linked list is a type of data structure in which we store the data as well as pointer to the next data. So, likewise in arrays, we were storing data continuously and initially we have to define the size also. But in the case of a linked list, that is not the case. Say we want to add one data, then we create one node and allot the data to it. Next, if you want to add another data, then we create another node and add to the end of the initial node so that next data is added by this way. The merits of a linked list is that we can add or remove data very easily. So addition and removal is very easy in linked list. But in arrays, whenever we want to add or remove a data, if it is in the bound of the size of array, then it is fine. But say for example, if we have 10, the size of array as 10, but now we want to add one more data, then adding of it will we won't be able to do that. We have to create a new array, then copy all the data from that, and then size of the new array should be 11 so that we can accommodate one more data. That is not the case with a linked list. Say we have 10 datas with the linked list. In a given linked list, we have 10 different datas already available. Now we want to add another data. Then simply what we need to do is the last pointer will point to the new data node and then this will become the last data node. So by this way, linked list follows. Now what is a stack? Simply stack is a data structure in which we follow the property of LIFO, last in and first out. So what does that mean? Last in first out means whenever we add data, we are going to follow this property in which we will add the data one above the other, just as we do with our dishes. You guys have seen dishes in the kitchen. When we keep them one above the other. So by this way, we follow stack rule. Now what is the stack rule is, it says that whenever we add a data, we can only remove the last data which is added. So last data will be extracted first. Hence, to see it clearly, say this is our last data. We have added this much data. Now if you want to extract any data, we cannot go to directly this data or this data. We have to extract the last one first. Then we will remove it. Now this will become our new last. Now we can extract this. Then after that we can extract this. Then after that we can extract this. So this is the property of a stack in which we follow last in first out rule. So what are the uses of stacks? Stack is used by browsers. Why browsers? Whenever you have visited a browser, you guys have seen a back button here. So what that back button does, it keep on storing the links we have visited. Say we have visited 6 pages initially and we are at the 7th page. This is our 7th page. Now if we want to go back from here, what we are going to do, to go back, we just pop this data and then we will visit the top data. We will move to that link will be displayed on the screen. Now if we want to go one more back, then what we will do, as this has been removed, now this is the top, we remove this also. Now we visit this page. So we will visit this page now. and so on, it will follow the back rule. So a browser uses the property of a stack. Now coming to a queue data structure. Queue is a very simple kind of data structure. You guys must have somewhere in your life followed the rule of queue. Say we are standing in a queue. Now, what is the property a queue follows? Say you are here to buy a movie ticket. So the first person who is in the queue, the first person who was present, will get the ticket first. So this property is called FIFO. First in, first out. So say he came first. Now what he will do? He will buy the ticket and then go. Now next person will be him. He will buy and he will go. Then he will buy, he will go. He will buy, he will go. So this is the property of first in, first out. Clearly, a queue and stack are not very different from one another. In queue, we only follow the first in, first out, and stack follow the last in, first out. So this is the only difference between queue and a stack. Queue is used by printers. Say we have given a data. Now that will we have added another data and so on. So first it will print this one, the first one, then second one, then third one. So printers basically use the queue data structure. This was all about the queue data structure. Now our next data structure is going to be a binary tree. In a binary tree, what we do? We create a node. Say this is our data node. What it will store? It will store pointers to two of the datas that are going to be its children's. So binary means 2. So this is going to be a tree with only 2 child nodes. So at every stage, every node is going to be having 2 children, going to have only maximum 2 children. Either it could have 0 children, but maximum it could have is 2. So this is the property of a binary queue. We store a data, say here. Now we will follow left and right. So to extract data, we can either move to left portion or to the right portion, and so on it will be followed, and all the next data will be in the similar fashion. If this does not have the next node, then it will be null value. So this pointer will point to null value. So this is a binary tree. Now coming to the next data structure, that is our binary search tree. So binary search tree is basically similar to a binary tree, but the basic difference here is, in binary tree, there were no such rules that the data accommodated by left or right portion, left or right child, is going to be differentiated on any basis. So in, say this is just a binary tree. Now binary tree, it is having data of 2. It could have 4, it could have 8, it could have 9, it could have 10, and so on. So there is no such rule that could differentiate the data which is being added to left or right child. But when we come to a binary search tree, what we do? Left tree, left side of the node is always going to be lesser than this node, and the right node is always going to be greater than this node. So this helps us in search operations because we are at the initial head node. We have the position of the head node and the data here is 100, but we want to search for 200. So we can here clearly know that we do not need to search this half part, because this half part is always going to be lower than 100. So this is basically 100 and the next part is definitely going to be greater. So we need to jump to this part. By this way, in every operation, we are removing half of the total operations needed. So in every jump or every step we take, we can eliminate half. That's why a searching operation follows simply log of n time complexity here. So the time complexity of searching is basically log of n. Now to add any data, that is also simple because we know where we need to add the data. Say the data is less, then we should have to add it to the left tree. If the data is greater, then we have to add it to the right tree. So that operation is also, add operation is also log of n. A binary search tree, BST we can say, follows order of log of n for searching and addition operations. So that's why in some cases when we need to search anything or we need multiple searches, then we follow binary search tree. Our next data structure is going to be heap. Heap is a kind of priority queue. It is a queue in which the data follows an order. a definite order. So in the heap, what we are going to do here, this node, say it is I of 0, position of this node is 0, or index of this node is 0, then it will have two children. First children is going to be twice I plus 1, so 2I plus 1, so this is going to be its first children, and 2I plus 2 is going to be its second children. So these two are going to be its children. Now say heap either a max heap or a min heap. So min heap or max, as we discussed, heaps basically is a type of data structure which follows the priority preference mechanism. So what does that mean? Heap, say if it is a max heap, then the topmost element is going to be always the max element. So here, say heap, we can also denote it as a binary tree. In a binary tree, here in our heap, the max position, the max element of the total heap is always going to be at the topmost. That is the only property that is going to be followed by a heap in case of max heap. In case of a min heap, the topmost element is always going to be a minimum element. So to store a heap efficiently, apart from using a binary tree, we can also do it via binary tree. But what we do is we use arrays. So what arrays does, we do not need to store the pointer to the next variable. So by this way, a definite amount of memory is saved. And secondly, as we know, the children are going to follow this property twice I plus 1, twice I plus 2. So by this way, we can find the children of all the elements. So that is a heap. Now let us see in heaps how we add or remove a data. So this is our heap, say, and we are going to store it as a min heap. So min heap or any heap has some of the basic functions. First is to get min. So get min will do, it will return the minimum element. So if we see the case of an array, as we are going to implement heaps in the form of arrays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So this is the heap implemented in the form of an array, stored in the form of an array. Now get min will give the topmost element or the array's 0 element. So this is going to be the minimum element in the case of a min heap. Now if we want to add any data, what we are going to do to add any data, basically what we do, we see the last position. Say this is our array 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now to add any data, what we do, we simply add it to the end of the nodes. Say just remove this node for simplicity. So let us say this is our heap. Now if you want to add any data, okay, say the data is 0. So if the data is 0, to add anything, we add to the end of the array. So here 0 will be added. Now a heapify operation will be done. What heapify operation says is to compare it with predecessor and check if the data, say this is min heap, so if the data is lesser than that, then simply we are going to be swapping the positions. So now this will become 0 and this will become 3. Again we will have to see it with its parent also. Now when comparing this with its parent, 0's parent is 1, so we see 1 is lesser, 0 is lesser than 1. So now again we have to do the heapify operation. So by this way, we see it will be compared to its parent, which was 3. Then 3 got swapped here and 1 went here. Now it was 0 went here, 0 went here. Now we compared it with its parent. So now 0's parent was 1. So now it becomes 0 and this becomes 1. This was the heapify operation, which is a very important operation which simply compares with its predecessor. So this was heapify up. There is also a property called heapify down. So what heapify down says is to check with the next element until and unless we reach the position where it should be, we are going to be swapping the data. To remove anything, we can't remove any value, we can only remove the minimum value. So to remove the minimum value, what we are going to do, we are going to swap the last value with the minimum value. So this was our array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Now this became 1, this became 0, and this became 3. After adding, we have seen there. Now, if you want to remove the minimum value, what we will do, we will replace it with the last value. So the last value will come here. Now this will become 3 and this will become 0, and simply we are going to reduce the size from here to here. So the size now will be this, last element will be this, 0 will be extracted out, so 0 will be returned as a minimum value. Again, we see here 3 has come here and our 0 is no more here, so this node has been deleted. Now what we are going to do, as we have seen the heapify up operation, we are here going to implement the heapify down operation. What is heapify down operation? It compares it with its children's. So 3 is greater than 2 and also greater than 1. So it will find the minimum element. Say 3. Now in this case minimum is 3. So it will simply come here and 1 will go there. So minimum of the left and right child will be swapped with that position. Now we can see here it only has a left child, not a right child. So in this case we have to compare it only with the left child of 3. As we see 3 is greater than 6. So in this case we do not need to do any operation, and this is the correct order. So this was all about heapify down. Heapify down, what heapify down does, it compares with the left and right child, compares the parent with the left and right child, and swap minimum with parent. So parent will be swapped with minimum. If there is no minimum, then there will be no swapping. Say if parent is the minimum, first case if parent itself is the minimum, if parent is minimum, in that case do nothing, else left is minimum, then swap with left. If right is minimum, then swap with right, and then again heapify. So that was all about heapify operation. So this was heapify function phi and position int position I. This was all about heapify. Hopefully that was clear what heapify does and how we are going to implement heaps. Now hashing. What is hashing? So hashing is a very important concept. We can store the data in such a fashion that we would be able to extract the data in order of 1. So finding any data will be on order of 1. In hashing, what we do, we create a function fn. So that function, say this is our data a, b, c, d, e, f and g. Now we operate it on the function fn. So after operating on function fn, it is going to give any number in the order of n. N is going to be size of this. So it will give a number in the order of n, and in that position this is going to be a vector of list. Okay, so this is going to be a vector of list. So now for a we are getting, after the fn function, we are getting 3, 7 and 8. So these are the positions for respectively to this. Now 3 is a, so in the third position we are going to store a, and it is going to be in the form of a list. Why so? We will know, see it later. So whenever we want to extract a, this will become, a will become the key, fn will be its function, it will point out to a position, and that position will contain the exact data. Now say we are having b, so this b operated with fn gives 1. So at position 1 we are going to store the data of b. That was so thus whenever we do find operation, find of a, what it does, it reoperates this fn function and finds the position. So the value of a respectively will be stored here. So what is happening here is this is acting as a key. Fn is a function which will operate between the key and the position index, and at the position we will find the value. Now say if this d also comes out to have a value of 1, so what we will do, after b, d will be added. So by this operation the time complexity of searching is reduced to a lot of extent, and what happens here is we want to search anything, say for d, that function will run in time complexity of order of 1, and then we will point to the data store value, and that value, say this is the key and there will be its value against it, the key and the pair. That is the way by which we store the key and the value. This is an efficient data structure. In many of the cases when we want to operate in time complexity of 1, the searching operation, then it will follow order of 1. This was all about hashing. Now coming to the graph. So as we have seen our binary search tree, graph do not follow binary or trinary for order, and also binary search tree, there was a limitation that there could not be any back pointer, so the child cannot point to the parent. So that was the difference between a graph and a search tree, binary search tree. So in a graph, what happens? There are nodes, so it will point to another node, that could point to another node, that could even point to here, it could point to itself, it could point to anything back. So by this way, what we are doing here, the graph is connecting nodes. So it is a type of data structure that is used to store the connections between different datas. And the implementation, we have a very large implementation of graphs. Basically, when we see our maps, Google Maps, or when we want to connect the LAN, local area network, then in those cases, these graph algorithms come out to be handy. In graph, all the nodes will contain is firstly the data, and secondly it will contain an array to all the positions that it is pointing to. So this array will, or vector will contain all the pointers to the next nodes which it is connecting. In social networking sites also, we see this implementation of graphs. When you see you have a friend, we generally get recommendations of a friend of friend. So that friend of friend is nothing but a graph node that say this is you and this is your friend. So that friend of friend is nothing but all the connections that are present in your friends list. So it is giving the data which are present in your friends. Thus by this way, graphs are implemented in social networking sites. Now lastly, coming to matrices. Matrices are nothing but the matrix which you have seen in mathematics. So matrix, this is a matrix. It is a two-dimensional array which stores the data. This is a matrix of order 4 cross 4. To implement this, what we do is basically create an array like this, or a vector of vector. So what does that mean? That this itself is a vector. Okay. Now this vector is contained inside this whole vector. So these are 4 vectors. So these are 4 different vectors that are stored inside our main vector. So this vector. So that is vector inside vector will create a 2D matrix or 2D array. We can also implement 3D, 4D by vector inside vector inside vector. So this will give a 3-dimensional array or matrix. What are the uses of matrices? Matrix or matrices are basically used whenever we need the data to be stored in the form of a 2D array format. Say for example, let us take a locality. This is a graph, is a SWOT locality, and houses are present here, here, here. So we can store it in a form of a matrix, and all the houses will be actually the position indexes where the houses are present. So this was all we are going to cover in this lecture. This was just a brief to all the data structures that we are going to study in depth. Now, from our next lecture onwards, we are going to continue our data structure series, in which we are going to see how and what are the properties, how we implement these, and what are the properties of this, and then we will cover up the questions. Thank you, keep learning, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.